David. Yeah. Hey, how are you doing? Good. We're getting ready to start the meeting. We're on speaker. All right.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order at 5:04 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dill.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Grusek. How am I pronouncing that, John?
Grushka.
Grushka.
I'm here.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No
Mr.
problem.
Salziner.
Here.
Mr. Uselak. Mr. Cassell. Me. You have a quorum.
I pledge
To the flag of the United States of America.
Yeah.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody has a copy of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections? Yes, to the agenda. Not do a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Motion carries. On to the minutes. If you have a copy of the minutes, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Almost.
All in favor? All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
Dave, are you able to hear?
Yes.
Very good. Second one.
Yeah. No new, old business on the agenda, no old business on the agenda. Moving on to new business, we have a carbon credit agreement.
Sure, thank you. I had been in discussions, starting last year with, Morton Arboretum in, Lyle. They have been working with city forest credits, to do carbon sequestration on, parklands around the Chicagoland area. Specifically some forest preserve land on Lake County Forest Preserves, Lake County, Illinois, and then also DuPage County. And I think Will County did a project as well. So what it is basically you've got companies that through either their the company ethics or through other standards that they have, they want to go ahead and provide credits or get credits for the carbon that they have so they can offset that. Typically some of your larger corporations like to do that. So with that, they last year had actually grants available that made it a little cheaper to do the initial work, but I wanted to stick with it. And so with the potential purchase of the Osterly property, I thought this might be a good one to start with, being that we didn't have a whole lot of match up to this point to help purchase that property. So went ahead and submitted the property to City Forest or to Morton Arboretum, to Colette, who works for them at Morton Arboretum, and she looked at the project, and we went ahead and got some information back from her. With this project, what we're looking at basically, and in what was given to you in the handout, we first have the notice of intent. So the notice of intent for this project, if the board would agree to it, basically this needs to be signed by Jim before we would purchase the property. That would lock us in. If you do it after the property's purchased, it's no good. It has to be done before you purchase the property. And so you'll see that, the notice of intent, and then it would be of the 85-acre site, about 56 acres could be used for carbon credits. And then as far as the next page, that would actually be the carbon quantification and some of the benefits estimate. And so looking at that, talking to Colette, and we're looking right now at approximately between the $30 and $40 a ton. There could be revenues generated between $236,000 and $315,000. And so basically that would be generated through sales done through city forest credits. And so it would basically lock this property up for about 40 years. We couldn't cut trees or do anything of the like. And so, from our standpoint, we wouldn't do that anyways. I don't see us doing any, harvesting of any trees there. And if we did, I don't think we'd get as much money as what's here. And then the whole point is to keep it wooded and keep that natural characteristic of the site when it's open to the public. So for us, I think it's a win-win. for 40 years, and then we would be able to get that amount of money. There is a little difference there between $30 and $40 a ton. Talking to Colette, the difference there would be certain counties, especially in Illinois, they have a lot more restrictive covenants in their comprehensive plans. Also, the states have more restrictions as far as wetlands and forest covers. We're here in Indiana, and as far as wetlands go in Indiana, we know there's been laws recently passed that makes it easier to fill in wetlands here in our state. Also, as far as our county comprehensive plan, there's nothing stopping anybody from buying this property and cutting all the trees down and put homes around the wetlands there. So there's really nothing stopping that. So because of that, because there's less restriction in Indiana, we actually probably would be more towards the higher end as far as the carbon credits, because we're in a county in the state that's really not as, it's easier for you to develop and not as restrictive as far as the environment goes. So that would be to our benefit, because you're locking up a property then that potentially is surrounded by more properties as development comes in from the north that could potentially affect this property. So us locking it up is more of a benefit for this program. So looking at it, went ahead and there's going to be some fees for it. If we had got onto it last year, we would have had those fees covered actually through a grant that Morton Arboretum had, but fortunately don't have that grant right now. But regardless, I think the monies that would be paid up front would be more than offset by it. We're looking at an application fee of $3,000, also a verification fee of $4,000, and then a registration fee of $1,000. That comes to about $8,000, plus there would be an issuance fee, and that's either $4 per carbon credit or 10% of the sales. So looking at that, I did the math, and you're looking at probably around 8,000 to 9,000, around about 8,000, 8,500 credits that could be attributed to this project. You'll see that on the carbon quantification sheet. So that comes to around $35,000. If you were to do the $4 per carbon credit times those credits, then you're probably at about 35,000. So regardless, depending on, they mentioned it's either $4 per carbon credit or 10% of sales, whichever is greater. It's going to be real close between either. So we're looking at about additional 35. So total between the 35,000 and 8,000 in fees, you're about $43,000 that would be paid. Now the $8,000, that issuance fee would be over time, because these credits would most likely be sold over a two-year time frame. And so that's typically how it works. And according to Colette and the projects they've had in the Illinois counties, they've sold all the credits that they have, because, we're in the Chicagoland area. We've got a lot of companies here, Fortune 500 companies. Also here, I think in Northwest Indiana, maybe it's going to benefit us that we've got, data centers going in. We've got large steel companies in the north part of the county. We've got BP. So there's a lot of those companies that would potentially be out there for carbon credits. So I think from our standpoint, they feel the same, that we would most likely be able to sell all these carbon credits over 2 years. So with that, I think, we've got the potential to make, at least on this side, up to about $300,000 in credit sales. So it would more than offset the fees and the issuance fee. So I think it's something to look at going down the road. And the start of it would be initially having Jim go ahead and sign our, the initial protocol that we would have. That would be the notice of intent. If we sign the notice of intent, then we can start going down the road and preparing the different documents we have. There's going to be a project application template, an implication agreement, also a design document, a preservation commitment. We'll have to do some maps on ArcGIS or an AutoCAD, showing the regional map, zoning map, and associated files. We'll have to do a proof of ownership on it. And then also a proof of threat of loss document that we'll put together, and also agree that we're not going to be double counting on this one, that we wouldn't be trying to get carbon credits from anybody else. So that would be another agreement. So there's about 7 or 8 different agreements or documents we'll have to go ahead and get done and have that approved. But the first thing is going ahead and getting the notice of intent done, and then moving on past there. So and with what I gave you in the packet here also includes, a map of the site again to get you familiar with it. And if there's any questions, we'd glad to answer.
We'll see 4 questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
couple of things, this is contingent upon us purchasing Osterly, which is moving along. If you agree to this, I'm not signing it tomorrow. I think we're gonna wait to make sure the sale is close to being done. That would give us time, because I don't see an issue, but it's not in my makeup to agree to something till I have it. So I think we would get closer to the closing to do that. And in talking to Craig, some other little things about the Osterly property, we've talked about, and I don't think we have to talk about this. We will title it with the foundation so they can give it back to us in the future as a match for another grant, okay? And so they should probably at that point put it into certified wildlands and forest land through the state, which changes your assessed value, because they would pay taxes on it, to like $13.60 an acre. And you have to have a plan. And Craig said, we can't cut any trees. That is kind of true, but not true. I mean, doing management and all, it's not logging it. It's not doing it for timber, but certainly to a well-managed woodlot or forest needs some tree removal, safety, invasive species, pick it.
Correct.
It isn't as though we're just gonna go like that and walk away. We'd still need a management plan, as we do on everything, or we should have on.
We can still do control burns.
We can do control burn, so it isn't
hands-off.
no. I mean, even Gibson Woods, which is the highest protected property in the state of Indiana, a nature preserve, we manage, right? We burn, we cut. So I don't want you to think we can't ever cut a tree. Because I like cutting trees. So anyway, just a couple of points before you had questions. It's a little complicated, and so.
Can I ask you a question? I mean, Craig, what's the front money gonna be on this?
Initially, it's gonna be $8,000 up front.
Okay.
Yep, that'll be for the application fee, the validation and verification fee and registration.
When's that due?
That'll be due, I don't know the exact time, but I would think it would be due probably a month or two after we acquire the property.
Okay.
So, but I'll find that out for sure.
Well,
So we only pay that once the property's acquired.
Correct, right. And then as you sell credits, then that's when the issuance will be.
And that's fine. And
Yeah.
the foundation to pay that then, or the department?
Department would probably pay that.
The foundation could pay it.
Depending how we, I guess, we do the agreement, so we'll talk to Morgan Freedom and make sure that we have it correctly labeled as far as the owner and how we actually complete these documents.
So for the board's purposes, unless you have other thoughts, the signing it, getting it going, and the logistics and management of how we pay, who we pay, we will argue it out and figure it out.
Yeah.
And however it's gonna work out. And then even the credits coming to us, I know Craig mentioned about as a match for some monies, like for the purchase of the property and all. Given everything that's happening and given everything we do, we have to think about that, because it may be best to put it where we put that money and how we want to use it in terms of management. So, but that's money management, that's our job. And I don't want to tie our hands in any shape or form.
Yeah, and there's still opportunities to get additional grants out there. I have no doubt that at some point the state will have additional funds through environmental plate sales available and other grant opportunities, so we'll definitely be able to try for some of those too.
It's just unfortunate that this program doesn't apply to property that we already own.
Yeah.
Because
We have a lot.
we have thousands of acres
Yeah.
of trees.
Yeah, it would be.
So you said it's over a 40-year term,
Yeah, 40 years is what this would be.
and the payout comes after we've met the 40-year?
It would come in the first 2 years.
The
So you
payout
have,
then?
yeah, because you're selling credits over the first 2 years of that agreement. And then after those 2 years, then you already got the funds for it. And then your job is basically just to report to them every year that, yes, the site hasn't been logged, and you have to show them an aerial of the site to prove that it's not been logged or clear cut or.
And so the city forest is not for profit, right?
You know what? I'm not sure. I did not look them up, to be honest. I think they're based in Seattle. So, but that's probably something I'll definitely do.
My concern would be is where they get their funding
Okay.
and where we could expect that payout to come from,
Mm-hmm.
if that, the not-for-profit.
And I know for a fact that actually we're the ones that'll be selling the credits. So whoever we sell them to, they'll be paying us directly. Whatever corporation, company buys them, they'll be paying us then for each credit, so.
All we're doing then with this not-for-profit is essentially tagging on to them by paying the fees and
Right.
registering this property for
Yep.
sale.
Yeah, and then they do assist us finding companies, because companies come to them and then they turn them your way to be able to sell the credits to the company, each one that would come to us. So.
Thank you.
And then as the credits are sold, and that's when they get their $4 or their 10%, whatever that ends up being.
So what is required on our end to get those sales done?
It will be filling out and completing this application template, the agreements, the design documents, all that, so.
But you said
Yeah.
we're gonna sell them, so we're not actually gonna have people out there trying, you're not gonna be calling people trying to sell these
No,
things,
no,
right?
they'll be almost in a way, kind of our agent, I guess.
Yeah, there are brokers that
Yeah,
sell these.
yeah.
That's what they do for a living.
And if,
And that's why they get the 10%.
Just for clarification, does the city, the Seattle City Company,
Mhm.
are they the ones that issue the credits to us?
Uh,
Because the credits are, they're.
What they do is basically they certify that we have this 56 acres that in their mind qualifies for this program.
Mhm.
So then they certify that we have these 56 acres available, and then that's what's leading to the $30 per ton or $40 per ton as far as the credits. And then also they give us the estimate as far as the number of credits that we can sell. And that's the 8,759 credits that we could sell for this project. So they certify that, and once we get to that number, then that's all the credits sold, and this site is sold, and then that's the money and the funds we would get. They would be paid at that point as well, and that would happen within 2 years.
Right now, though, for points of this meeting,
Mhm.
we're just gonna ask for authority for Jim to sign the
Yep.
letter of intent.
If we were to buy
And then we're gonna
Osterling,
come-
yep,
Then we're gonna come back
and
with
just to
the
be clear,
additional content.
just to be clear, if you have lots of questions and you want things clarified, we don't have to do that tonight. We've got time because this all rests upon Osterly. You know better. So I think if you really wanted certain things clarified, waiting till next month isn't going to be an issue.
Yeah, I don't think there's an issue here if we're just authorizing the letter of intent.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
relevant.
there's money involved in the letter of intent.
Well, after letter of intent though, even after we purchase it, then we can start with the application fee and all that, so, yeah.
And I would say if you're gonna do that, if you authorize me to sign it, and, or not sign it, if all of a sudden we go back to John's questions and we go, oh, wait a minute, this isn't what, we'll bring it back to you.
Yeah,
It's just that this is a 40-year commitment, which to me isn't a big deal,
Yeah.
because
and this is
park's
gonna
been around for 40 years, and you'll be here.
and it's gonna be a little bit of a learning experience for us, it's first time trying.
And in many ways, this
Never
is a
thought
lot
this would
like
be
a
good.
litigation bank where you're selling these credits. My biggest concern comes with the fluidity of credits and all, given what the administration is and, and what's going on and who wants to be.
But according to them, they're still selling credits yet.
Oh, I could see Amazon and other places even wanting to buy credits strictly on
Mhm.
this is the right thing to do thought process.
Right, it's the company and they wanna do that. So.
And if we get $300,000 out of Jeff Bezos and remove 2 inches from his yacht, that's okay.
Well, while I was trying to figure this out, I ran across a really interesting thing. In fact, Tesla, between 2018 and today, has received 12 billion with a B cash in selling grants, which is 20% of their revenues. So they have, and they've gotten it from their competitors. General Motors, Ford, Chrysler has paid
Yeah,
to Tesla. So I guess that's why Elon Musk is a billionaire and we're not. But that's a pretty interesting fact.
And if it works out, then, in the future, if we acquire other forests and parcels, I think it's something we need to look at because it's a way to help pay for them. And in a way, that's why we're buying them, to lock up the wooded areas. And I think the public likes that.
That's what we do.
Yeah, right.
We're not, and this particular piece of property is not a property that we would advocate going in and clear cutting it to do something else. And it's, and what Craig said about I think we could make more selling timber. And timber grows at about 9% a year in terms of value. But the way I see that property, it's not that valuable based upon its timber inventory.
And the certification that's done by this not-for-profit, that's what the companies seek for whatever they purchase that so that whether it be tax abatement or refunds or something like that, they need this certification and this is what they're looking for.
Yeah, all those documents that we would provide them, I think basically what that would do is it certifies to them that this property is legit and that we're locked in for this 40 years. And so they have the documents necessary that they know that it's going to be there. And then it also starts that every year after the credits are issued, and I think even after the first year, whatever, we'll have to give them reports showing that site is staying wooded and report anything else that we might do on the site.
Yeah, that's if it goes into certified forest, you'd be doing the same thing. You've got to provide documentation that you're doing it. And I may have asked you this, it just came to me. We can't get credits for reforesting. Like if we went out in farmland and reforested.
Yes, you can get credits if you reforest parcels, but then there's not as many credits available.
Well, I could see that, yeah. Because
But again, the problem would be you'd have to buy the property after you.
Oh, no, well,
Right? I mean, you couldn't just reforest something and get credits. for
Well,
this.
yeah, you'd have to sign the letter of intent.
And then
before
buy
you-
the property, right?
Yeah, and
That's
then you
my,
have
that
to,
was my.
well, yeah.
and you have to have a plan to show them what you're doing, and yeah. Because I just showed them a couple other parcels we had bought or were going to buy that weren't quite as heavily wooded as this, and they didn't think they were quite as good for this program. They really like this one because the type of trees and then the level.
Yeah. The age,
Yeah.
density. Yeah.
I basically showed them aerials back to 1938 when they first flew aerials over the whole country, and it's been heavily wooded since 1938. So they're assured that it's almost 100 years old now at this point. It's been forested. So.
And I apologize, I don't mean to keep getting in the way, guys, but I had one question because it sounded like there was some difference of opinion or thought. The money that we pay out in the front end is only after we purchase the property.
Correct.
So we don't pay, if he signs this document of intent
Mhm.
and we purchase the property, then we pay all these fees.
Yeah.
If something should happen, he signs a letter of intent, we have a problem with the Osterleys or whoever, we're clear, we're done.
Yeah, we don't have to pay any fees
Okay.
or submit any more
I
documents.
just, because I heard somebody
Yeah.
say something about paying beforehand.
I guess what I need for clarification is, are we just asking for authority to sign the letter of intent or to go forward and make?
Well, I think if the board is the authority and myself to sign the letter of intent, the board in essence is agreeing to this program for the next 40 years. Which, again, you're agreeing to have a park for 40 years with trees on it.
But we'll be coming back with the contracts, the various contracts. to the
Correct.
board.
Yeah, we'll update the board as we go through the process. Yeah.
So when do you anticipate signing, or needing to sign both the intent? To the,
Oh,
for the next meeting.
we're working it out. It's a weird we're buying, making payments. So I'm having a lot of trouble with the other lawyer trying to get him to realize the concept. I've gotten him to throw away the mortgage that he wanted. We can't sign a mortgage. So, then that's step one, and now I've got to completely revise everything he did. It's gonna take a little time, probably next week, we'll work it out. Yeah, well, hopefully sooner than that.
So it'd be, you would like to have it signed?
Honestly, as I thought about it, if you agree to this and all of a sudden something pops up, I won't sign it. Because if it's like, oh, no, wait a minute, this is not what the board really was going on.
As long as this is signed before we close, as long as it's signed the day before we close, we're good.
But for us to actually move forward with this, though, they're gonna have to warranty deed it to us, and we're not paying them the whole amount. So that's where our hangup is. We're paying over a period of years. And, depending upon grants and things, you may be able to pay it off more quickly. But basically, all they've got is a contract and a promissory note, no collateral. That's out of the window. So that's what we're working on, though, and we've got that sealed. We just have to.
Well, I see what he's saying, but I think if the board approves this to move forward, we can work out that little details that, you know, so that we don't, and I don't see that happening, you know, because the sellers and us are all in the same goal. What we want to do with that property is preserve it.
Right.
Well, does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll move to, let's see. I'll move to authorize, Jim to sign the, intent for carbon project. It's been given to us today. Trying to figure out exactly what it is. Yeah, I guess that suffices.
Yeah, at Foxwood Park,
Do you have a second?
future.
Second.
Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Thank you.
We could curve these tables.
Yeah.
All right, this is the intent to this only evidence is the intent to register within 2 years after you purchase the product.
Yes, yeah, that, right, so we have a little time, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of documents to.
Yeah,
And
this
I'm all
has
here.
to be done.
There's a pile of them. We'll be busy. So. Good enough.
Every number, not me, Frank will keep the board appraised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then our next item might be a little more straightforward. What can you tell us?
We can thank for that. So I was hoping that you all saw when you walked in, the husband in the corner there, the green mill. Here in the main office, we received a phone call from Brett Jones. His mother passed away. He was an artist and he wanted to donate that to the Lincoln. I gave you guys a So a little bit about Barbara Jones. She was an artist. This is a printing drawing. She did another part. He said of all her work, this particular rendering felt especially suitable to donate, as the site held both artistic and personal significance for her. She is a resident of Maryville. She was an artist known for her architectural renderings of homes, historic buildings, and other landmarks throughout Northwest Indiana and Chicagoland area. And then there's more information about her throughout the packet. There's a picture of Barbara in your packet. That's really out. I thought it was interesting that you said that she lived with curiosity and courage. I thought that was my favorite there. And then that she would be honored that God is to acknowledge it. So it's now being donated.
Here's the date on it. No, I know it's gotta be old just because of the wheel and the willow tree.
I don't think he gave me that.
Okay.
Is it a pencil drawing?
It said pen and ink.
Has it been preserved?
It's been in that, and I think we're gonna need to change the frame because I feel like moisture would get into that.
Yeah. Real.
I don't know if you need any other questions, but we need to accept it, right?
Make a motion to accept the artwork donation. I'll present it here today. And I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
opposed? Thank you. Accept the donation.
And then something real quick.
Go ahead and have it.
So you can save the dates for our upcoming celebration of Wood's Grist Mill, and I did tell Brett that hopefully he can make his way back up here to celebrate. We've got a big milestone coming up. So the mill is 150th of it being built in 1876, the 50th of being restored, and also America's 250th that we're going to celebrate all together. What do you call it? What's the word?
I know, I had it down at one point, like, it's like the quasi-accidental centennial. That's, yeah.
So save the date, but you'll get formal invitation. Thank you.
And we've got plenty here. Hand them out, you know. Here, take a bunch.
Thank you.
Then moving on to our roofing quotes.
I will go ahead and take that one. Over at the water park, we went out to get quotes on replacing the original 1994 buildings, all the roofing that was installed in 1994. It's about 21,000 square feet of roofing, as you can see on the Corellis quote that they submitted. And it's just starting, it's 30 years old, it's starting to deteriorate and get to the point where it really needs to be getting. There's actually, we had found out in through all this, there's actually a recall on these shingles back in like 1996 or something that we, I don't know, Jim.
Back in the nineties, they didn't do a great job
Yeah.
letting people know. Everything came through the mail. I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, you'll get it in the mail for often, Indianapolis. But yeah, so there was so it's just time for these roofs to get done. So we went out and got 2 quotes from Booth Brothers and Corellis. They were both inspecting the same product to be installed. And you can see the Booth Brothers quote was $149,988. And the Corellis quote was $247,463. There is also a aerial in the end of the Corellis quote. You can kind of see the giant scope of the building we're talking about here. It's basically all the way from our Dippin' Dot stand all the way around to the cafe and pizza area. These are massive roofs. They're like 12 pitches. There's lots of dormers and architectural features as well. They're all kind of factored into the cost of what we're doing. Here, the feature turrets and all that stuff. Part of the quote as well. So that being said, we're looking for approval to go ahead and move forward with the quote from Booth Brothers for $149,988. And at this point in time, we will not be doing the 2 old ones that were listed in this quote.
Does the Corellis,
Go ahead.
does the Corellis bid include those alternates?
It does not.
Okay.
We don't know why it's so much different.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
know
Is
why.
it, so I'm just gonna ask this question. Is it because one is a union shop and the other is not?
Both are
both
union shops. Yeah.
Because I see in the, there's no guarantees they're gonna use union work.
Okay.
So, but I know that Corellis maintained in their bid that they were gonna use their own people. And they wouldn't, get any subs to do anything. I'm
Okay.
just curious. I don't know Booth Brothers.
We use,
Only will be completed by.
Okay.
yeah, we've used Booth Brothers many times before. These are our 2 go-tos because they're both the 2 main union shops. If Mike were here, he would tell you, they give us a list of those folks that are out there that are good, and these guys are always on those lists. I think, this is just a guess on my part, the estimator from Corellis was brand new. And I have a feeling that played, the lack of maybe his experience played into that rate a little bit. These guys, we were talking about this today. The estimating to me is like an art. I don't know how these guys can estimate these massive projects, but it comes from years and years and years of experience. And my guess is this guy didn't want to get burned on one of his first jobs he was estimating.
Well,
That's all I could, that's just a guess for
If he
me.
comes in double of everybody else all the time, it's good.
He's gonna get burned back.
That these roofs with the number of valleys and pitches and peaks.
They're not easy.
And steepness, it's not like,
And the last time we did Waterpark roofs, it was the basic ones. It was the filter building. It was just basically,
Straight runs.
they were straight, there was nothing.
And variable could be that, Corellis is pretty busy early in the year and
Well, that happens too.
Blue's not as busy. So, right?
Yeah, I will say that both contractors did assure me that this project would be completed, weather permitting, before we did the water park as well. As long as we approved it here tonight in February, they said that they would get it done before the water park opened. They were both kind of estimating about 3 to 4 weeks on site to get the project.
It's still amazing to me.
Was she?
That's a lot of.
It took me like 2 months to do my garage by myself. Roofing
But
is-
yeah, John, I have no question that Bluth Brothers can do it and do it.
No, I understand completely.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand the distinction. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
And
We were surprised.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we
surprised.
were,
We
yeah.
were all surprised.
A lot of times on this stuff, they tend to be pretty close.
No, it's that big a job, they didn't.
But this is a
Who
problem
knows?
though, yeah.
Then do we have a motion?
Motion to accept the Guth Brothers bid.
Second,
I'll second that.
anything else for discussion?
Why are we doing the add-ons? I mean, one is 11, right? 11.8?
The one that was 11.8 was the gutter protection. Victor's already done a decent portion of these roofs, just because over the years the ash trees have grown up in them, and so a lot of it is already done. And the other one that was 36, a lot of the gutters are in pretty decent shape. Our carpenter crew and house has worked on those over the last couple of years.
Yeah, we've done a lot of gutter replacement and putting the protectors on there. We did this building as well. We did at one point.
Then we had, when it was redone, we had them do it.
We have,
Okay. But if we need to, as it goes along, we can always do that as an ad. And I would prefer that you don't put them on because that puts it over $150,000 and it changes the bidding laws. So.
Understood.
Well, it's based on the estimate, so I think would be safe, but.
Yeah, and you know, we get into it and it's like the gutter guards are really good.
well, there's some good ones and some that aren't, and we get a choice this way, you know, because these guys all have the ones they like to use.
Yeah, I know the ones they put on here because they were much more expensive than ones I did myself. But our guys could also just go clean.
Yeah, just clean them up and get them done.
As long as you're not back in 3 months saying we got a great roof, but the water doesn't go anywhere.
Well,
Okay, so we have a motion to accept the Guth Brothers quote, without the add-ons. All those in favor, please say
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Thank you. Motion carries. And now for the acceptance of claims. Copy. We have a motion to accept.
Motion to accept claims.
Second,
Second,
discussion.
how are our NITCO bills? Or how have they been in the last couple of months? Have you seen a significant increase in the total?
I don't know, have you guys?
I mean, we pay a lot. I'm just asking.
Picture of them seeing the Bellaboos and saying, guys, what your temperature, you know, you go up there, everyone kind of wants the comfort and that's, and so trying to make sure that they're maintaining it, so.
Well,
That's
it's
a
somewhat-
hard struggle not being there.
This is a-
Go ahead.
Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Waterpark is on like a different kind of rate plan as well, because it's based upon the peak usage.
The rate is, is based upon peak usage in the summer, because that's what they have to capitalize to. So when you have a peak up here and the rest of the year is here, you're paying that year round.
Okay.
But to your point, and I have the finance people tracking lots of stuff now, like they check fuel usage and utilities. And I don't have it with me, but I can find it and send it to you. And I have them track utilities by kilowatt hours and rate. And then rate per kilowatt hour, because in gasoline's a prime example. You know, well, yeah, we paid more for gasoline, but we actually use less gas. So that's the critical number. The amount of kilowatt hours and all is the critical number. It's in an Excel document that Amy does and Ben work on. And I'll get that to you and send it out and you can see. But there's, well, here, and as you can tell, there's a lot of NIPSCO meters. And it's, you know, it's like, whoa.
well, here, we can
And
say
big
this,
maple
we can
is
say
high.
this with some certainty. It's not getting any better.
It hasn't gone down.
It's not going down.
Well, she's right. And Big Maple was higher, that meter.
And I actually have to give finance credit for that because they saw that come through. I was having to be estimated at Big Maple because they didn't have a meter for us for that comfort station. They had us our transformer. And so they had to estimate based off of a similar facility. And finance, when they saw the estimated bill and they got one for our actual usage, they're like, wait, is all of this correct? We were paying this. Should I be paying this? So hats up to them for noticing the discrepancy there and saying, whoa, whoa, whoa.
So, but those are good questions because there's so much out there. And it's really easy for site managers and others. You get overwhelmed, you're like, oh, okay, that looks good.
Looks okay.
Oh, you can see the sheer list of it.
It is.
Well,
Well, and that's because of them.
Yeah,
We used to pay it as one bill,
Mhm.
but then they want everything separate because everything
By
is
meter.
computerized. And they're replacing all the meters. They have a whole big program so there won't be any more meter readers. It will just all go up to the cloud, to one of those data centers.
What was the BMI broadcast music?
BMI broadcast. Yeah, that's one of the ones for the water park. It's a licensing fees to play music out publicly. There's always
Gotta make sure the artists get
And
paid.
then it's making sure the artists get paid.
There's 4 of them.
There's like, yeah, there's ASCAP, there's BMI, CSAC.
The California folks.
Was it global?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Some apply only to the water park and some apply to the entire department.
And then a lot of it has to do with the actually charge of admission
Yeah.
as well.
And most of it does not apply to live music or Broadway shows or movies. And if you're in Congress, that law
Doesn't
exempts
apply to you at
the
all.
Congress from doing that.
Thank you.
It's a standard. But that's how they get their copyright monies to the other.
Each artist is like a member of
You join
one of those 4,
Yeah.
and then, you know.
When Jim does his Christmas album, you said you were gonna do ASCAP.
Anything else? All those in favor of accepting the claims, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Any other committee reports?
Well, we kind of talked about, the committees haven't met, although, I'm gonna reach out because we need, I'll get to it in my own report, but we're gonna have some committee meetings as we move into some capital projects and plans that we have. I will tell you that, budget-wise, things are what they are, hasn't really changed. You hear lots of rumors about what's going on downstate, but they are the rumors. I did see that House Bill 1161 went to the Senate Committee, Local Government, and it got passed out of committee unanimously to go to the Senate, and that's the one that says, 2 things that will affect this board is that if we have a project of $500,000 or more, or 10% of our total budget, whichever is the lesser, which will be 500,000, we have to get approval from the county council. The county council's executive. I don't know how the hell that's gonna work, because I don't,
Nobody's gonna wanna take that on by themselves.
well, I don't see the president wanting to make that
No.
sole decision. Or if we
Not
go
without
into
everybody
eminent
else.
domain, they also have to sign off on it. The $500,000, it could be a problem down the road. I think it'll just be a process. I feel bad for departments with $1 million or $500,000 budget in these little towns, and 10% of 500,000 is 50,000.
You can't buy a truck
You can't buy, you can't,
at that
can
point.
you buy a Kia?
No, I don't know.
You know. So, and then the other issue, what is being changed is the way the law reads now, is that you are appointed and you cannot be removed with, except for cause by the appointing authority. The way the law is being changed, you serve at the pleasure of the appointing authority. I don't see it being a problem, knowing who the appointing authorities are. But in the future, you don't know. You never know where life goes, right? That's been in there from the beginning to kind of protect the board members so they aren't constantly at the whim of elected officials. And my gut feeling is a lot of this has to do more with rural counties, and they're solving a local problem statewide. And hell, if you're a city and the mayor appoints you, you are at their whim anyway. So I don't know what the deal is. It kind of seems to be coming out of Hendricks County and that area based upon who authored the bill. But that, it has to go to the full Senate now, and we'll see what.
Somebody wasn't happy with that part, board appointee.
Well, and honestly, that could be it. Something they're not happy with that happened before.
Happened here.
With Porter
Porter
County.
County, yeah.
And, my personal thing is, okay, you may not have the authority to get rid of the superintendent or a board member legally, but if you don't know how to get rid of somebody, you know, politically or through pressure, then you really don't understand, because that can be done. And you know. Yep, so, anyway, so that's where that's at, but I will have some more about, the capital stuff later. Oh, we had one thing on the finances. Yeah.
David, there's a new law also that on the agenda, all the appointed board members has to be listed on the agenda when they were appointed and when their terms are eliminated. So, yeah, yes, look into that. I'm just letting you know.
There, if I can show you there.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah, look into that.
it's part of the same bill.
They need to be at the agenda.
on each agenda?
And every agenda that you sent out, every board member, their term, their name, everybody, and when their term ends, it needs to be on there. Look into it. It was passed. It's a new law.
I'll check. I didn't read that.
Appointees, not elected, only appointees.
Only appointees. The other thing in the finance committee, we are gonna go for an appropriation increase. This is budgetary. We have cash, and so to go to them, this has to go up to the county by Tuesday at noon, because appropriation increases have to be advertised legally. And we're asking for appropriation increases in equipment, insurance, utilities, professional services, and printing, which is like 15,000 in a printing. Equipment, a lot of our stuff goes to leases, like our trucks and golf carts and all that.
Yeah.
So we need to get some more equipment. It comes to $515,000, a couple $100,000 in utilities, which will still not cover our bills. And another $100,000 in insurance will not cover that, but I know where it's gonna end up. And we will probably, and that 515 comes off of a let's call it $3.5 million cash reserve. So, and when I finally talk to council people, we'll at some point go back once we get a better handle and figure out where we want to go. The flip side of that is we got to be somewhat careful in maintaining cash reserves as we look to 2028 and beyond on how we're going to handle that and strategies. So we are going to try and get some appropriation, because typically we spend all that out of our non-reverting account, and we would like to protect that, because that's sort of our, I'm going to call it our checkbook. It's not covered. There's no levy dollars in there. So it's just more manageable for us. And the 107 budget is all appropriation based, even though we put money in there. So we're playing that money management game and just trying to keep things fluid, good cash, keep things moving. And it will cut down on the number of times that our great finance people come down to me in a panic because they don't have this money in this line item.
Yeah, in 107
Yeah.
or whatever, yeah.
So anyway, that's what I got financially.
Thank you for that, and I will turn the gavel over to.
Well,
That was all the hard part.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Recommendation reports.
Okay. So we just the committee, or which
Yes.
was the budget?
We're done with the committees, yeah, we're done with the divisions.
Okay, so division reports. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I can start it off. Thank you. First, we did have our Oak Ridge Prairie deer reduction program in January. We're at Oak Ridge Prairie, so it was pretty much the whole south end of the park, from Colfax to Hendricks, Griffith, and Maryville, about 400 acres. Every Saturday in January, we had basically the hunters come out. We did a draw, so we had 10 spots to draw each week, and that would be from Sunday to Saturday. So we typically had about 25 to 30 hunters each Saturday come out for the draw, and they were all very happy with the process. I just did a random Google generator number and came up with the numbers and had them fill out a sheet, and then verified they had a license, and went really well. We got 11 deer in the month, and a lot of them actually came the last week. we think the first part of the month, they were kind of waiting for that trophy deer to come by, and eventually towards the end of the month, they all just wanted to get a deer, and then they took, several does that last week. So, in fact, even that last Saturday of hunting, is when I think they got 3 or 4 that day itself. So as far as the hunt it went, it went very, very smoothly. We didn't have any complaints other than the last day, huntable day, right by Reeder Road and where the C&O Trail looks to come together. One of the hunters had parked over there. I told them they could. And then they crossed the trail, went into the woods there, and one of the neighbors saw them. So they went ahead and contacted me and then contacted the conservation officer. Conservation officer went out, checked on them, checked with me to make sure that they were in the draw. They were, and there was no issues at all with any neighbors complaining about unsafe practices or anything. It was all archery and crossbow. So as far as the safety went, it went well, and nobody in the trails in the park. We instructed them to stay away from the trails, and they all did a pretty good job of that. So that's 2 years in a row at Oak Ridge, and I think for Oak Ridge, we're probably good for the next couple of years because at Oak Ridge, we've got the adjacent farmers that have depredation permits, Griffith-Maryville Airport. They have a permit as well, and they take deer out throughout the year. So I think, Oak Ridge, we've got that number down quite a bit. So maybe next year we'll look at a couple other sites here in the department that we know we have a pretty healthy deer population. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll let the board know before. So Veterans Memorial Trail, INDOT contacted us, and we knew this was coming, but there's going to be a roundabout put at 231 on Iowa Street. And so the first step is they're going to make us an offer to acquire some of the real estate we've already acquired in that northwest corner of that intersection. So they'll be in next week to make an offer to us on that. So we'll share that with the board when we get it. Also, for the Veterans Memorial Trail, we found it was just approved last night at the Little Cabinet River Basin Development Commission meeting, but City of Crown Point and the commission will be replacing the Smith Ditch culvert, which is west of Broadway and 231. So they've already that'll just be for the engineering portion of it. So we'll probably hear from them shortly because I imagine they're going to need access to the trail corridor, which is owned by the park board. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll keep the board apprised of how that's going to work out. At some point, we're going to have to talk to the city as well on the bridge at Broadway for the trail. So there'll probably be several meetings between us to go over all the projects going on. At Grand Kankakee Marsh on February 3rd, we went ahead and acquired the Ford acquisition, which the board approved last couple months. That was 18 acres adjacent to the State Route 55 Shelby Public Access. It's adjacent to about 100 acres of the Grand Kankakee Marsh County Park. It's the very west side of the park, and this is right up against Shelby. So these 18 acres, acquiring them will ensure they're not going to be developed in the future. Mr. Ford, who lived in the house, his wife just passed away a few months ago, unfortunately, and Ernie's 90 or 91 years old, and he actually fell and had a hairline fracture in his hip. So he's got a life estate to be in the house. So I hope Ernie lives many more years, and so he'll be back in the house here shortly when he recovers from the hip issue. And so he'll have the life estate for the home, and then there's also, with 18 acres, there's a hayfield. And there's also probably about 4 acres of old oxbow in the Kankakee River that's adjacent to what we already have there, which is adjacent about 100 acres. The interesting thing is the park board owns property not only in Lake County, but on the Newton County side as well. We've got about 50 acres in Newton County that the park board owns. So, and it's not unusual. The park board owns property in Porter County as well, adjacent to GKM and Deep River. So this helps to that area. And then in the future, we hope this will help us enhance a future program on floating on the Kankakee River between our public access sites off Rangeline Road and here, whether it's canoeing, kayaking, tubing. So this would be a great spot now that we own property adjacent to that public access. So, any questions? I'd be happy to answer.
I had one question. Did you guys go talk with Greg Furman about that property that he's been talking about for a while?
Yeah, he came and met with us a few weeks ago.
Yeah. And
tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to be with him in the afternoon. We're going to take a little tour. So we have a few different options. Our first, I guess for us, the best would be just sell us the 3 acres he owns north of the C&O Trail corridor. That's basically surrounded by county parkland, but he didn't agree to that. He would still like to swap with us. So there's 2 portions of Oak Ridge we own south of the C&O Trail. And so ideally for us, it would be one of our ag ground pieces, adjacent to Johnson Ditch South. I think his preferable option would be some of the ridge that's just south of the trail, adjacent to where he's done some work. So I'll talk to him tomorrow and hopefully I'll get him to agree to at least swap with us by Johnson Ditch. It's ag ground that the same tenant farmer that farms for us, farms for him, Mr. Klein. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, we should be able to figure it out tomorrow, I hope. So, and then we'll let the board know because ultimately the board's gonna have to approve the swap. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you guys approach him or did he approach you this time?
No, we approached him
Yeah,
because
okay.
our mitigation bank project's going forward with DNR and with contractor. And so they came to us about a month ago and gave us an update on the plan. And they said, hey, this 3 acres that Mr. Furman owns, if we were to acquire that, that would let us maybe get an extra acre of mitigation property. So, and then if we don't get it also, we'd have to put a small berm along his property because we can't flood a private property with our mitigation project, because we'll be breaking all the field tiles and we'll be making it a lot more wetter than it is now.
Yeah.
So yeah, ultimately we're gonna get the 3 acres one way or the other, I think, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
As long as it works for us.
Yeah,
Very
and
good.
for him, I hope he'll be happy too then. And
Yeah.
I've also he had some issues with some of the property we own between Cleveland Street and Chase Street. His farm off Cleveland's adjacent, so he wants to point out a couple frag patches he wants us to spray and maintain. Actually, my crew already knew about it, but we'll go out there and take a look at that too. So, yeah. Yep.
The hayfield that's on the Ford property, is that something that we're gonna harvest or we're gonna have somebody harvest it?
Well, he actually, as part of the agreement, he would go ahead and he would still be able to get the income from that hayfield. Unfortunately for him, the last 2-3 years, nobody's been willing to harvest that hayfield for him because it's 16 acres and it's just not real big and it's not big enough for a lot of people to deal with. So he still has it cut, but yeah, he'll be able to get that income from that yet. And it's only, I think, about $1,000 he gets out of it. So it's not a ton. So to make sure that that was good for him, and since that's one of his sources of income, we thought since he's so elderly that it would be good just to let him keep that, and he'll be able to stay in the house. And the home and the 2 pole barns that are there, they're not in the greatest shape. So him just staying in there, and he's in charge of maintaining all the appliances and everything else, paying the bills. And there won't be any property taxes now that we're buying it, so it'll be in the park board's name. So. And then we are getting reimbursed some of that. We're getting reimbursed about 75% of the cost. It was $370,000 to buy it. Half's coming from DNR through the environmental license plate sales, and then we're getting $50,000 from the Lake Harris Parks Foundation, and then also $40,000 from the Kankakee River Basin Commission. So,
Nice.
yep.
You could have done better, got the whole thing.
Well, I was close to more DNR money.
All the time. It's amazing. It really is.
All right, thank you. I'll keep it kind of down in South County right now. Just to start off with Buckley and to recognize them, when it gets this cold out, I think all of our staff does a really good job in just keeping an eye on pipes and buildings and checking on things. But the staff at Buckley also has that added layer of animals in there. And whenever it gets cold like this, without a doubt, one of the animals decides, well, let's even have a baby or two, as did this past time. So we do have baby goats now, or at least one. But thanks to them, because that requires they're up every 2-3 hours, just like you would a child. They're moving the animals back and forth between their actual pastures and bringing them into the barn as well. Beyond that, down at Buckley, they've been busy booking their spring hands-on field tours. They are 75% booked already this year. They just opened up a couple weeks ago. This program's really grown over the last couple of years. They've done a great job with it. And this year I was talking to Dan and Chris last night. Dan's our historical programmer there. Chris is the park manager. And they booked a school from Bourbonnais this year as a first. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty neat because normally you kind of just get the local schools, mostly Lake County, some Newton, some Jasper, some Porter, but Bourbonnais was nice to hear. So Deep River County Park, with the change of weather, they are in maple syrup mode. Now they've been out identifying trees. I think they've had at least 135 trees they've got marked and identified. We're starting to go. I know you think that's weak. What?
How many taps?
But they're still going. I don't have taps yet.
35 trees doesn't, Diane knows.
Yeah.
How many?
How many? 2, 3, 4. So they're excited for that though, and this year we're trying a new event for maple syrup. This is going to take place before our public program. It is a fireside maple and mingle. This will occur February 27th at the Visitor Center from 6 to 8 p.m. We'll have campfires, music in the middle, cider. They'll actually be out interpreting over the Sugar Shack up in we'll have staff.
Hey, guys.
And everything going. So I'm looking forward to that. It's something new, something different to try. So we'll see how that goes. It is a $10 fee per person. This one, we will offer our public program in March though. It is a free weekends. Update on the Big Maple Comfort Station. They were supposed to actually drill yesterday for the well, but you knew this.
Can't keep track.
With the cold weather, they haven't been able to drill, so their schedule just keeps getting backed up and keeps getting pushed. So we're looking like next week, at least, to get that well drilled, and then we'll have to do the hookup still. Finally, in your board packet, just a lot of things coming up. And this really just doesn't go to Kara and Nikki as programmers, but to the park managers as well, because a lot of times they're out there. They're the ones doing these programs and hosting them. Even park pets. I have park pets that come in. So, you know, the first page is just the field trips that we can offer just to give an overview. If anyone wants anything digital too, I can have that sent. I know Marcia has all these digitally that she can give if you know anyone is interested. But just some of the field trips that we offer. Our homeschool programs, they posted these a couple weeks ago. And within 48 hours, I would say almost all of these are 90% filled up. Many of the ones that are coming up, April, May, June, February, they're waitlisted. Buckley, they're offering a third lambing and kitten workshop because it got so popular. We have about 25 per session. Buckley offers an AM and a PM. Both bills, they're doing a third session Thursday. And then the final page is just kind of what's going on in February and March. And you know, I mentioned a lot about Buckley, it's easy to program, Deep River, it's easy to program, but they really do try and cover things everywhere, whether it's Oak Ridge Prairie, Lemon Lake this Saturday, is there's s'mores in the moors. Valentine's Day hike, campfire, s'mores, and go hike in the candlelit hike. So they do it all. John, Meet the Babies is in there, March 28th and 29th. Just a little bit of what's coming up. Just more about the programmers, Karen and Nikki, but Karen and Elizabeth, these park managers and park techs who all get involved in stuff happen.
Excuse me, you mentioned Nan. Julie requests to know all of our employees. I gotta go print it.
Some positive feedback for like Bellaboos and stuff too. Over, I don't know, probably last 2-3 months, we've been just talking with some people that I know that have younger kids and stuff. And it's amazing to see how many of them have like year passes and everything else that utilize that place. It's just absolutely wonderful. So good job with that there, and people at least suspecting people that I would think. But they're using it, I know the public's using it, so that's awesome.
Good, thank you very much for that. I'll make sure to pass it along.
Yeah, great job.
Cool. All right, I'll go ahead and take over. Over at the golf courses, not tons going on with the deep freeze in terms of golfers coming out. I guess apparently sub-zero wind chill is what keeps them away.
Keep all of them away, or would you still want
A couple maybe wanted to, but the fourth just wasn't playable. But staff's been busy preparing for summer and coming up with their plans and everything that they want to do. Chris, who is in charge of Cedar Creek, and Leslie, who's over at Turkey Creek, who plans renewed or got their continuing credits for their turf application. All the chemicals, you have to renew those certs or keep getting continuing credits to keep your license to put down those chemicals. They just did that, so we've been busy doing that. Over at the water park, staff wrapped up ice skating, and much like Sasha just kind of gave credit to everybody working outside in the cold, credit to the staff over there for maintaining that ice in the deep freeze. There's nothing worse than being outside making ice or maintaining ice with a fire hose when it's sub-zero wind chills. it's just something you have to do to keep up on it. Not the most glamorous job, but it's something that Chris, you would have did,
I would not have.
Yeah, exactly.
I go through the little cold weather.
But ice skating's done now, so they're wrapping up, tearing all that down, breaking it all down, and starting to gear into summer mode. They're working on planning. Last year, we threw those 3 buyouts that I talked about. They're planning another 3 buyouts this year that we're going to throw ourselves, in addition to all the ones we do for different organizations and companies. And just continuing to work on hiring. We just had our first lifeguard pre-course over at Hobart Middle School it was Tuesday. We had about 55 people complete the pre-course successfully, which for us is huge for February, as you could tell by Sasha's reaction, because she didn't know that yet. Normally we're canceling our February class because we don't have enough people that have passed the pre-course. So to have 55 kids that successfully completed the pre-course are going to be in our first lifeguarding class is huge for us. We hire about 250 lifeguards and site attendants combined. This is a huge jump on that new influx of people. That's obviously really excited about that. The next pre-course is February 21st at 1 p.m. at Hobart Middle School. So hopefully that will be just as big as this first one, and we'll continue this success streak. All of our other departments are continuing hiring. So if anybody knows anybody, those applications are on deepriverwaterpark.com. That's what we are. Any questions? Yeah.
No questions for Chris. I will go ahead and pick up a few things here. It's been brought up many times about the weather, and this winter has been a shock to the system. We haven't seen a winter like this in a very long time. And not only to our systems as human beings, but equipment systems as well. And that certainly kept staff busy from the carpentry crew and from our mechanic side, keeping the plows running as we've had more snow this year than we've seen in a very long time. And, some of our older plows they're starting to show their age a little bit. And so it kept those guys jumping, that's for sure. The carpenters are now that we've had a bit of a thaw, they're kind of out looking at some of the projects that we've been collecting for outdoors, so some fencing and other things. They've been running around doing that. They'd spent much of the winter doing inside renovations. I know they did some at Deep River, and they've been down at Lemon Lake, and they've just kind of been all over. But so they've stayed busy, but now I think everybody's ready to be outside again as long as this weather will hold. And then coming up here on February 23rd, we have our all-staff yearly meeting that we have, with almost 8,000 acres in this department spread across the entire Lake County area. It's hard to get staff together and keep everybody on the same page. So many years ago, Larry and Bob started doing this yearly meeting, and Jim's kept it up, and we do it in February generally. But it's a great time that we get all the staff, park techs, mechanics, everybody.
All of these people.
All those people that I just got. We get everybody together. We give them an idea of what the department's doing, where we're at, how the prior year went, things we need to worry about coming up, because they just don't get that information. Yeah. We also do what we call some of the housekeeping stuff, like the county wants us to go through active shooter training every year. Just saw another one in Canada. It just keeps happening. And so educating our staff, it's not a pleasant thing to go through, but it is necessary. And everybody that's been through it will tell you, you just react with the things you've been taught. That's the way to go. Unfortunately, we have to do it. It's for everybody's safety. So there's that. This is also the meeting where we name our employee of the year, which I'm not going to divulge at this point. We haven't done it yet. But I will at the next meeting. I'm sure I will make that announcement. So that's what's coming up for us as a big department. And then, Jim mentioned some of the finance situation. You can see it from the revenue and expense report, in pretty good shape. We did carry a pretty good balance in from last year. And I'm sure you talked about at the January meeting that I was unable to be at, but a lot of smart management on the part of staff, and that really helps us weather some of these storms. There was a year, and John, you don't know this, but there were many years where we had to take loans from ourselves from other accounts to get through the beginning of the year. And
I'm sure the sheriff's department,
Yeah, yeah, we had to do things like that, and I can tell you over the last, again, 7 years, we haven't had to do that. And so the management.
But we still
But we-
made motion in case
We
we
still
did.
have the engineers here. We didn't do it this year because we are in pretty good shape, and but I just wanted that to be out there, you know, staff really has helped making smart moves, smart decisions, and we actually came out a little better than we thought we would do this year. And really with this Senate Bill 1 coming up, anything we can do to be smart, we're doing the best we can. So that's really all I have. I didn't know if you had anything else.
Yeah, well,
You, obviously, the paper that you just printed.
well, and Juliet asked about, because we talk about people like Dan, well, who the hell's Dan? And so
I
that's
didn't
Dan
say
Reed.
that.
I did. And as I said to staff, we often, as staff, we know people, we know more than you do about daily stuff, so we talk in acronyms and stuff, and you're like, what?
Talk fast.
So these are the divisions, these are all the people in the divisions. A lot of the people who I don't have listed what they do, they're park techs and programmers, and I got tired of picking. So, but that's that, and that is as of today. Chris mentioned the Employee of the Year, just so you know how it works. All the staff get the opportunity to make a nomination of somebody, up to 3. They're into a list, and then administrative staff and the previous year's Employee of the Year winner, we get together, we discuss all the nominations, and then everybody votes 1 through 5. And the number 1 pick in everybody's thing gets 5 points, 4 points, and then I run a spreadsheet, and the one with the most points wins. So it's relatively objective, and we tend to get the same people nominating, not being nominated, but making the nominations. It'd be nice if we had some more participation, because even though we have all these employees, we can't see everything everybody does. And but it is still a good deal. And then we're gonna have to figure out some committee meetings, particularly goals and objectives, Land Act. I'll get in touch with you folks. As we move into capital projects, trying to find funding, whether I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we've been talking to different people about doing a bond. And the rules have changed because of Senate enacted, 1, and I keep doing things. We've talked to one councilman, gonna talk to some more. I don't know where we're gonna end up. I don't know, we have to list, we have pages of projects. That's why I want to bring you guys folks, because you're the ones that are gonna have to say, yes, we want to go for this, and no, we don't. And then the council has to approve it, because it is a fiscal deal. So we'll see. We need to present to the board, start getting into some conversations on what we want to do. One of our projects we wanted to do was replace the filtration system for the wade pool to save us money. And then we got the quote to do the filtration program, and we all picked ourselves off the floor and went, no.
Yeah.
Because at that price of 1.4 million, we're like, Howard, what's the ROI on it? We were told a different scenario.
Well, the scenario was with the new technology, we were thinking we could lessen by half the number of filters, motors, all that. We'd be saving on electricity, chemical, all these things. And now they're telling us, no, you'd have to have 4. And now we're dealing with, instead of stupid filters, which just let water go through them, now you've got PLCs and you've got all kinds of
What's a
technology.
PLC?
That's some sort of computery type thing. Probably follows you around and tracks your location for all I know.
So but Chris is still
Slap the
investigating.
life out of you every chance he
got
gets.
And there's just a lot out there, and this once a month meeting isn't enough to explain to you all everything that goes on. Yeah. And as Chris says, staff does a good job of managing, and we get caught up in what we do, and there's times when I go, well, the board doesn't know that because they're not dealing with it every day.
Right.
And we need to explain some more, and some of the challenges we're gonna face, and
personally, I don't think the department can or should stop, even though it may come to that because of financial concerns beyond us. We want to keep moving for the residents. And what we have to do is make sure people understand that parks and recreation in Lake County Parks, we provide wealth to the community. And people, you know, we got to find some funding. And people come to Lake County and tourism in part because of Lake County Parks and other places. So I've been saying, why don't we have a food and beverage tax that goes to us?
We're talking about it for bears, you
Yeah, I know. So, you know, yeah. Once that happens, maybe we'll log on.
Not too far out of the question, from what I've been hearing.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we need to have some conversations and once I don't know where the day goes. So.
I got a question for you and Chris, with this NIPSCO hike, as far as us with the water park and everything, probably gonna be a sticker shock, I'm guessing, or how does that?
John had an inquiry about that earlier, if we
Yeah.
had seen anything like that I really can't say that I have. We haven't really done a lot of analysis yet on it, but, like Chris said, the water park's on a different system.
It's an industrial type.
Yeah, well,
Because we pay a higher
we pay
rate.
a higher rate
Because
there
of
already.
peaks.
Right.
Yeah, because of peaks and, so it's gonna be hard to tell, but
Yeah.
we certainly are watching. We've got
Yeah,
one of our people down there keeping track of everything, so.
And before I forget, well, and at the water park, it kind of goes into the sheet I did with recurring expenses,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Those are for 2025. It's a fairly accurate thing that I put together. Our biggest expense is labor.
right.
You know, that's, and at the water park, that's the deal. And I gave you, total personnel expenses in both 107 and 117, is almost $8.5 million out of a total spend of 12 million. It's a huge deal. And then you look, to your point, we spend $1 million in utilities, which is gas, electric, propane. Insurance is big, advertising, which is a lot of stuff, not just Midwest marketing. The legal, that's not, he gets far more than that. Far more than that. I can get you a complete list. And that's all that we can pay out of those funds. A lot of what Louis does gets paid out of our 116, which then gets reimbursed to a percentage. So, and then we have the leases, the toilets. Those are porta-johns, pit toilets, and septic. That's how much we all pay to have crap hauled away.
Right.
And, that some of them, fuel's not a big deal. I mean, right now, fuel is pretty good. We're not paying a lot. And then telephones, and that's all getting worked on by Diane. We're changing our cell phone stuff. And again, when you look at the number of sites we have and the number of contact points, that ends up being a lot of phone units,
Yeah.
And I didn't put internet in there because I couldn't quite parse it out. One of the problems we have with the park sites is most of them do not have, and we're trying to fix this, good connectivity for internet access, for internal workings. Why don't you do this? Well, it's the Grand Kankakee Marsh. They have internet access because they were the last phone line on copper that side of 65. And so we went and changed it to cell stuff, and we're going more with wireless hotspots, and it's just the nature of our business. But I wanted you to see, and I wanted staff to see, we're going to share this at our meeting, how much we spend. And if we have to take a 10 to 20% cut,
It's not there.
we don't know where it's coming from
Yeah.
without being really critical. And for staff, when we do this, everybody's going about their business, doing their job on the park sites and all, and they don't see that. Just to your point about utilities and that earlier, you're just doing your job and going along, and you may get $1,000 bill for your park site or see it for utilities, but then you don't see the big picture and what it truly costs the department to just do business. just to breathe,
Yep, just to exist.
just to open the
As we
gate,
are.
Right.
pick up the garbage, empty the toilets. I mean, that's, so,
That's simplistic, because in addition to doing all that, we're also providing so much for the people of Lake County and all the
and
open
that's the
space.
story that is hard to tell. I mean, there's the story of telling elected officials and others numbers and getting through on that. And then the other story to the general public on our value as an essential service, what we truly add to the wealth of this community. I know we can talk about quality of life, but we make this county wealthier. Oh, period, end of story. And that's the story we need to do a better job of getting out there. So that's really all I have to pontificate on. I think I covered everything.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I remembered that for you, Julie. She did not say the words I did. I just was like, yeah, I get it.
She's much more eloquent.
Yes, yes.
Other general discussions about anything?
I would comment only that, Julie put in her best effort today, got us through the meeting like a professional, and you showed up just to go.
Yeah.
How good you did today.
Apologize, I wasn't doing right. Trying to get out of the office as fast as I could.
One more thing before I forget, you have a new form for attendance, right? And it's been redone because the way old formulas, we just kind of redid it. If you don't like it, or you have questions or want things, let us know, because it is different. And then talking with Amy, who put it all together, people, how can they not read this? That's because they're used to the normal, this is what they want, what they're used to. And so if you want more data, we can give you data for years, which
But we
is,
can give you some data.
yeah, we do a lot of that. And really, honestly, we should probably print that and put it in your packet, because from this year to last year doesn't tell the whole story, you know? And understand, I put an asterisk in there, a lot of that are estimates by the park manager. And we think they're, particularly when you go against Placer AI. So Run Lake ought to be 200,000 people based upon what we've seen. All right.
Very good.
Move to adjourn.
Yeah. Second? You don't need a second. One, two, three.
You still there, David?
Nice job.
We're done. Dave, thank you.
Watching you.
Damn, David.